So I think the current paradigm that a lot of BPTs and training medical officers follow is quite restrictive and leads to a lot of burnout. And a very kind of appropriate analogy I like to use is one of young athlete specialisation. And it will make sense, bear with me. Essentially, in high school and primary school, you might remember programs like SASI, where they would kind of do testing in high school, and then students who looked like they would excel at one particular sport because of their certain height or their endurance or their type 2 muscle fibre meant so they could jump high, they would select them and they would have a very specific training program with the intent of being a cyclist or being a volleyballer or what have you. There's actually another form of training called like a general kinesthetic awareness or general physical preparedness. And the idea behind that is as a young athlete, you train them across a range of different areas. Even if the end goal is a certain sport, the idea is that by having a general approach to their physical training, it builds more of a structure and a foundation, and one that makes them better prepared for any kind of challenges they might face along the way. The intent behind this early specialisation that we saw with things like SASI and that sort of thing is that by getting kind of early enrolment of an athlete and having more specified training over the course of years, they would be better at said sport. We actually know that's exactly the opposite of what happens. These athletes who specialise early tend to burn out more, burn out quicker, and actually acquire injuries at a higher rate than someone who's kind of been a more generally prepared athlete. And we see the exact same, I feel, in trainee medical officers. There's always invariably a cohort of students who select their medical interest quite early. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to be a cardiologist, I want to be a gastroenterologist. And they kind of go through and they very targetedly target their research around that area of interest. And then if you always ask those people how to approach research or what's your interest in it, they'll always tell you it's a grind, I hate it, I'm burnt out, I haven't learnt anything, and it's just never enjoyable for them. Whereas if you take the opposite approach, the general physical preparedness approach, and as an athlete you kind of diversify your interests and try to build a bit more of a structure and a foundation, those people enjoy research a lot more, they get a lot more out of it, and generally speaking they have more translatable skill sets. So kind of, I think the one big takeaway I wanted from my talk today is when kind of considering opportunities for research, take them all on board. Don't kind of, even if it's completely unrelated to your area of interest, even if you're doing a project on hyponatremia but you want to be a plastic surgeon, there's always going to be a lesson to take away from it. And if you take this kind of general physical preparedness approach to research, I think there's a multiplicity of benefits, but the chief kind of few being that it gives you more opportunities to do research and you're not going to be clawing away at other competitors to try find a project to do. It gives you, again, a foundation of translatable skills that you can take across any other research project, and also enables you to do more impactful research. I think a lot of times people get disheartened because they get put on some kind of project and they're fiddling away with a little data set and they don't feel like they're contributing anything to the project, but learn to patient outcomes. But then if you kind of keep your interest broad, you do find yourself as a junior doing quite impactful, important stuff that can change stuff at a systems level.